Hey guys, and welcome back to the 1v1 podcast. I'm your host, Vlhadus. And before I introduce my brand new guest here, I just want to reach out to my community and say that if you want to be on the 1v1 podcast, reach out to me. My DMs are open on Twitter. You can always message me on Discord, and I would love to have a conversation with you and talk about your gaming career, why you love MMOs, or why you may love Ashes, or why you may hate Ashes. Hey, I don't mind having that conversation either. But I have a great guest today, and he goes by the name of Oak, and he is from Germany. That's awesome. How are you doing today, man?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. I'm really glad about that. I am from Germany, as you can probably tell. Well, I'm trying to hide the accent.
No, dude. Hey, I envy anybody that can speak multiple languages. I mean, I myself, I'm Hispanic, so I understand Spanish very well. I used to speak it very well, but that was when I was a kid, and it kind of just fell way off. So I'm, right now, when I have my next kid, I'm gonna actually have my kid only learn Spanish as their first language, and then slowly transition them to English later. So that's how I'm gonna do that, so I can get to speak Spanish again. That's what I really want to do.
Dude, that's so cool. I mean, we talked earlier about that, and well, I'm not quite only German.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, you could probably tell I have probably same or some kind of history like you have. My family is from San Antonio and San Jose, and my dad was technically American, but if I tell you my last name some other time, you will know that I'm half Hispanic too.
Oh, dude, that's awesome, man.
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah, no, I lived in Texas my whole life. I grew up in Keensville. It's a small town down south of Texas, and then I moved to San Antonio, and I've been here for 6 years, 7 years. It's feels longer, but I love it here personally. There's not a better place, in my opinion, than San Antonio, Texas, but that's just me. But let's get to know you, dude. So you just started making content for Ashes of Creation, and so before we get into the whole Ashes talk, let me first ask this: what got you into the whole YouTube space anyway? Was it just Ashes specifically?
Wow, no. Well, I do own another German YouTube channel at the moment. It's a small channel with 4-digit subscribers, not that big, but I started making content for YouTube specifically about a year ago, year and 2 months, I think. But into the whole content creator genre, I moved back 3 years ago when I started streaming on Twitch, which I do not do anymore because I don't like it. While playing Smite, a MOBA, which is made by I can't even remember, Georgia Studios. No, Hi-Rez was the studio.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure when Ashes comes out, I may dip my toes into the streaming pool, and I don't know if I'm going to do it on Twitch, and I don't know if I'm going to do it on YouTube. I'm actually leaning more towards YouTube, to be totally honest with you. I think the Twitch landscape is horrible for new exposure. You have to do so many things to basically get your name out there because there's nothing that promotes you. And I think a lot of Twitch streamers suffer from that.
Yeah, I would agree on that. I think most mistakes made by newer streamers are mistakes on the creator side, as not promoting your channel or just being boring. I mean, that's the whole point of making content, right? And YouTube might be friendlier for newer people, I guess.
No, for sure. And I think that's because the way I see it, right, is if you establish a fan base on YouTube and then you go somewhere else, to me, that kind of diminishes the translation, right? Because there's a lot of people that don't go to Twitch, you know what I mean? And I think there's very successful people that stream on YouTube, and there's a lot of huge streamers that specifically left Twitch to go to YouTube. So there's something to YouTube that I think a lot of people are missing, or even Facebook gaming. That's another one too that has great, discoverability. So there's a lot of
I don't know. I don't know about that. I mean, I'm 30 years old, so
Mhm.
I'm quite on the edge of using or not using Facebook anymore. I don't know what to do
No,
with
I
that.
know, right?
So I can't relate to Facebook gaming, but I think there's a great difference between the communities on Twitch. I mean, like the audience on Twitch and
Right.
YouTube, and I experience YouTube is way friendlier than Twitch is, but
Right.
that's just my personal opinion.
No, for sure, for sure. So I guess like outside of the whole Twitch streaming, like what brought your forte into the MMO space? Like what MMOs have you played in the past?
Whoa, that's a tricky one. I played all kinds of games,
Okay.
not that much MMOs.
Oh,
I
okay.
started gaming probably when I was 6 years old. We were, yeah, it sounds so sad. We were poor, and everything my mother could afford for her kid was this one Super Nintendo.
Hey,
So the
I grew
classic
up the
Super
same way.
Mario,
Yeah. No,
yeah,
keep it going.
Street Fighter, Mega Man. That was what I played, and when I got the hang of it, and later on, my my mother had a boyfriend, and he wanted to impress her, so he brought this new computer CD-ROM game for me, which was
Oh,
called Diablo.
oh
And
wow.
I was about 8 years old, and she was like, "Oh, can you play that? Well, that's a Spanish title, right? So it's good for his roots. He might learn Spanish." And that dude was, "Yeah, totally. Give him that. He'll shut up."
Right.
And 8-year-old me just started playing Diablo. Um, but
Wow.
over the course of my life, I swapped to MOBAs and FPS shooters and whatsoever. But I was always more a survival game guy, I guess. Had lots and lots of hours in 7 Days to Die, Ark, Rust, you name it.
Wow.
And recently swapped with Lost Ark. Yeah, I mean, I
Oh,
played WoW. I played WoW, obviously.
right.
Um, which almost screwed my graduation from school, so I stopped. I
Oh,
had to
dang.
stop. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Sums it up, I guess.
Okay. So basically, so are you currently playing Lost Ark right now or
Yeah, yeah, like a junkie.
okay.
Uh, well, I'm not swiping, and I'm pretty proud of that
Okay,
because it's
good.
really hard not to.
I
I'm one
know.
of the do it free to play people. Still a great game. Stop whining. And I've got around 500 hours now since release, so I
Wow.
think it's decent.
No,
Yeah,
yeah, and I played Lost Ark, right?
yeah.
And but to preface, I played World of Warcraft for 15 years. Damn near close to
Wow.
16 years cuz I started back in 2006. And I
Yeah.
really only took 2 breaks and those were just a couple of months. I didn't take like massive year. I played every single expansion. I played every patch. So you know, I lived, eat, and breathed World of Warcraft for forever. And so I finally quit July of 2021. And then I mean, it was just sort of weird because like when you've done something for so long at a habit, and then you have that free time that you usually played, wow, and you don't do that anymore, you're like, well, what do I do with my time? You know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah, I get that.
no, so it was just sort of like that realization for me. But I felt so much better because the
Okay.
toxicity, the relationship that I had with WoW, it felt like a job. It didn't feel like a game anymore. Because of just the game design decisions that the developers tried to make for WoW, just it made it feel like a job for me. And so I just didn't want to clock in. So I unsubscribed and I deleted the Blizzard launcher and I don't want to play any World of Warcraft anymore. Like it's just, and I don't care for the next expansion. I wish them the best of luck. I wish anyone playing World of Warcraft the best of luck, but it's just a game that outgrew me. And as much as I love that shirt, it'd rip if I try to put it back on. You know what I mean? So,
Ye-
so I mean,
eh,
basic. Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I had one question there. Do you sometimes regret stopping, or is it like do you feel the urge of playing again, or did you just take that leap and never had to play again? Again, yeah,
So for me, this was so you have to think of when July 2021, what was happening in that month. This was when all of the allegations for the sexual allegations of Blizzard happened. That wasn't really my reasoning for quitting. Yes, it was all negative and stuff like that, but the the guilt that I was in, the drama that was having with the raid teams, and also just my internal disgust for the game. The only thing that really kept me going was raiding. That was what I did forever. I was a hardcore raider. But even the raiding just didn't do it for me. Like I was just getting bored with it, and just like, so I quit, and honestly I do not regret it. And the other thing about it too is if I ever wanted to scratch my WoW itch, there is another WoW that I can play for free called WoW Ascension, and it's a private server where it's a classless World of Warcraft experience, and it's really cool. So basically, you basically start out classless, and as you level, you get points, and then you have all of the talent trees from all of the classes, and then you also have all of the abilities from all of the classes, and you select what ability you want to have. So if you want to have Bubble from the Paladin, and you want to have Sinister Strike from the Rogue, and you want to have Mage Teleport, you can have all those abilities in that game, and it's just a lot of fun. So
I need to install Blizzard Launcher right now.
No. You don't install Blizzard Launcher.
Launcher.
Yeah. So
okay.
So you just go to Google, type in WoW Ascension, and off to the races you go. Because again, it's a free WoW, and again, like it's classic. It's the classic server, but you have all of these really cool, updated, awesome agency systems for players that you can really have fun with and really customize your character very detailed, which is something that retail WoW just doesn't have anymore. So at the end of the day, I can't scratch my WoW itch without actually playing WoW. And I think, like I said, I played it a couple of times, because it is kind of weird just not playing WoW anymore. But, playing Lost Ark, I also felt weird too, because the other main reason why I quit World of Warcraft is because it's just a single player experience for the most part. I don't play with my friends. And so like the only time I get to play in Lost Ark with anybody is if I do like the Guardian raids, or if I do like any of the high end stuff. But other than that, everything and anything by yourself is done solo.
Yeah, it's basically a single player game, hidden underneath the curtains of multiplayer.
Correct.
So those 500 hours I've played, I probably did at least 400 alone, which is totally fine for me, because this is basically my me time. I work a full-time job, and I'm going to college at the moment, still, though I'm 30, and I have only so much time.
Right.
And I really like it when I do play that, but it's a solo game, basically. Yeah.
Right. And I think for the most part is why I'm just so looking forward to Ashes, because Ashes is really going to be a group incentivized game that, in like your same situation, if you belong to a big enough guild with a lot of your boys and homies to play with, like you may log on and be like, hey, I'm going to go do this. Does anyone want to come with me? And the game will incentivize them to join you. Yeah. Right now, you can still send invites to people, but there's no incentivization. It's like, just do it by yourself, dude. It's more efficient. It's better. I don't want to waste my time helping you, because you can do it by yourself. In Ashes, there's going to be a lot of things you're not going to be able to do by yourself. So that camaraderie, that bro time of like hanging out with the boys is going to happen again. And that's what I miss.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
That is one of the major selling points for me for Ashes of Creation, because I some kind of detached from all my online gaming friends, due to the fact that I only play games you play solo. So I'm really looking forward to building whatever a community and people to communicate, because for us, or I will just speak for us gamers, this is our kind of friendships and our kind of interaction just in recent times with the pandemic and stuff. And I think this is a great chance. I'm really looking forward to it.
No, for sure. And so to kind of, so we talked about your gaming history, and so I do want to mention more specifically. So with MMOs, what does appeal to you right now with MMOs? So I know you're playing Lost Ark right now. I know we talked about the single player experience, but what really gets you for MMOs?
Well, there are two major reasons why I love MMOs in general. Okay. First of all, I love the life skills, or the jobs, professions, call them however you want. Because I love being that's basically why I make content. I love being that special snowflake, that dude that can make the best
Right.
robe in game, that can make that big sword, that shiny gem. I really love that. I love to have a profession in which I can excel and do a great job.
Right.
That's one point. And the other one is, first of all, I love open world games.
Right.
And if there's a world with a lot of horizontal content for
Right.
me, that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for to get min maxing to top level and being the top of the list. I just want to have a lot of things to do. If I want to do them, I want to do some quests, and if I don't want to do quests, I want to go hunt some animals. What, I don't care, do dungeons. But the
Right.
horizontal content without any progress, just playing the game in my way, that's what I'm looking for, and that's what you mainly can find in MMOs.
Oh, that's right. I mean, and the thing is, I'll give Lost Ark. Lost Ark has tons of horizontal content.
Yeah,
It has tons of horizontal content. My whole problem with this is that you do it all by yourself. You want to go hunt Makoko seeds. You can do that with the group.
Yeah.
And actually, my guild did that. We went to go hunt Makoko seeds together and get all, like, we're in a map. All right, guys, these are where the Makoko seeds are. Let's just go one by one and tackle them all. So, but again, I just feel like for most people, they're just like, oh, I'm just gonna do it by myself. I'll do it on my own time. And it's just so unfortunate, because there should be, not just in Ashes, but in general, that I would love the developers, for any person making an MMO, to get under their head, is group content should be incentivized, not
100%.
optional. Because when it's optional, if it's better by myself, I'd rather just do it by myself, because most people would, right? It's more efficient if you're just by yourself. You have 15 minutes, 20 minutes to play the game because the wife's putting the kid to bed, or whatever your situation is. Like, it's better to do it by yourself, because most people, when they go into games of old, like old classic WoW or ArcAge or Ultima, EverQuest, you had 15 minutes. You wanted to do a dungeon? Well, I guess I can't do that because it's going to take longer than 15 minutes. So your time was shot, but I think now in 2022, especially with Discord, we have plenty of ways to reach out to different communities, get in better guilds. It was a lot harder back then. There wasn't forums. There wasn't, it was literally just whispering people in game and just seeing what happened. Now we're so much more efficient at organizing ourselves. And so I think going back to where group play is incentivized is just something that we need as a community, because it's lacking badly.
Yeah, I miss the times where you come to a content wall, which you can only surpass with other players, not
Right.
only as incentivized content, but as mandatory content.
Oh, right.
I mean, if there was any MMO taking the huge risk to make mandatory, or the group content mandatory,
Right.
yes, there would be a lot of players saying, "Oh no, I can't play it on my own. I won't play it at all."
Right.
But that would make a huge community, people working together,
Right.
which is especially why, to call back here, why I love YouTube more than Twitch, because I'm a big fan of the do it together. And
Right.
as both of us speak, YouTube is a thing for communities. Content creators can be a community, and in Ashes of Creation, everyone can be part of this community working together, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, and to me, like, so let's talk about Ashes now. So we kind of got all that out of the way. So how did you hear? Because this is always interesting for me to hear, because it's always something different. How did you hear personally about Ashes of Creation?
Yeah, that's a funny story. Well,
It always is.
while I was new at the YouTube game, I had this one content creator who told me, "Dude, I like your content, but it's trash. So you need to do this and that and that." And that was about the time when I started playing Genshin Impact, for being one of the first in line.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
I want to be the first to make content, but I didn't make it. So he told me, if you're looking for future games, watch Lost Ark and watch Ashes of Creation. That's a good one. And I was like, okay, well, why would I want to watch a game releasing in 5 years? I never had that experience. Not
Right.
as a great part of the Ashes community, which supports the game from day one, from Kickstarter times.
Right.
I never had this experience. I always played games on release. They popped up.
Right.
Oh, tomorrow's release. Let's play it.
Right.
And I laid it aside. But when I started studying, half year ago, again, one of my colleagues came over and said, "Hey, you know what? I've got this Discord server. It's themed around Ashes of Creation." And I was like, "Oh no, crap! I heard about that game. Please go away." And no, I'm serious. Look at it. Look at the server. I've got all of their tweets and stuff in an own channel. I was like, "Okay, buddy, will do." And it was more out of pity. I said, "Okay, I'll join your server. All 6 members are there now." And I scrolled through those tweets and thought, dude, that sounds interesting. Actually, it does. Wait, let me check the homepage. Let me check their Twitter. And then I saw something very unique that Intrepid Studios, especially Steven, yeah, we all know that he's great, but Intrepid Studios interacts with the community, which has high expectations and is very hyped, but they actually interact with the people in a human way, which I love. I love the fact that I guess on 5 or 6 Ashes of Creation community discords. On every discord, I can find Steven. I can mention him in what channel ever, and he will respond when he has the time. I respect that. And that made the game very attractive to me, that the developer team says, we're not too good for the community. No, we're part of the community.
All right. And believe me, coming from World of Warcraft for many years, the developers just were afraid of the community, to be honest, because every time they'd mess up and they'd create crap content. And so they would basically just distance themselves from the community. And then towards the end of the expansion, they would always be like, "We're sorry, guys. We're going to give you what you want." And then rinse, repeat the next expansion, mess up again, give players what they want at the end. And it was just this rinse and repeat cycle that I kept noticing over and over. And I decided, you know what? I'm not going to play a crap expansion. I'm not going to play this crap game. So, I mean, for me, I completely agree with you that every time that I've seen Margaret or Steven or one of the moderators from the Discord reach out to people, it's always in a way that's supposed to be informative, direct, and polite. And the thing is that most of the times when you were to whisper or go on Twitter for any other MMO company, you'll never get a response from anyone. Yeah. Unless you're like Dr. Disrespect, Asmongold, some huge personality, basically. But even them, probably not. And they might even just get a private message instead of it being public. Because again, these are corporations. And the one thing that I love about Steven is that we have Walmart and then we have Greg's Hardware. And Steven is Greg's Hardware. Because
I don't know Greg's Hardware.
No. It's just made up. It's just, I'm making up. So basically what I'm trying to say is you have the corporation Walmart, and then you have these small time, just opened up their store that you can go and meet the owner as soon as you walk in. That's Intrepid Studios. That's what it feels like. Yeah, it feels like that friendly store that opened up at that mom and pop store where you go in, you're greeted friendly. There's, stuff there that you're like, oh, I've never seen this stuff before, whatever, but they're very helpful. They'll help you out. And that's what I've always felt. I've always felt very welcomed, not just from them, but from the other members of the community, the other content creators from the community. And that's the other thing is that, like I said, being in World of Warcraft, the community is so toxic with just white knights and trolls and just, like I said, I've been there for so long. It's just, I needed to get out of the grasp and tendrils of that community. So I'm really grateful to be where I am and to have met like all of the different content creators. And that's why I do the 1v1s, because I think all of the content creators have such a great story to tell. And I think if people really want to be more invested in their channel, they need something like this to humanize them, right? Because it's one thing to come and make a content video of, caravans or nodes or whatever. But in this, if they've seen your content and they like your content, they go and they can actually see you as a person and see your passion. It's like, holy crap, dude, I like this guy. I want to subscribe to him. Like, that's the whole goal of my channel.
And that's actually what happened to me with the previous interviews I've seen.
Right.
The one with Fane and what was the other? I can't even remember. What Hard FPS, Wolf Hard FPS.
Wolf Hard FPS.
That's the other one.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't know those content creators, but that actually happened to me when I watched those videos. I thought, dude,
it works.
They're cool. They're cool. They're
Yeah,
cool. They're real persons. I don't have to idolize them as great content creators and have to
right.
follow them everywhere to go. They're just normal people, and I really like that about this.
Yeah, no, it's and again, like I really try to pride myself in doing these because I feel like a lot of people miss out on great content. And sometimes they'll watch a video that's like, I don't like the way that guy pitched it, or I don't like that guy's voice, or, they could just be in some kind of mood. But, having these 1v1s, just having a more chill atmosphere, just to have that kind of one-on-one conversation. I try to imitate the kind of Joe Rogan podcast, right? Where you'll get
Yeah.
someone to come and talk, and you get to hear about whatever education background they come from, political, whatever the case is, and just to have a conversation. Like, that's the whole point. But going back to Ashes real quick. So
Yeah.
did you end up watching the Lazy Peon video?
Yeah. Well, which one? I watched a lot, but
So
not especially on Ashes. But I think he has more than one on Ashes of
Oh, yeah.
Creation, right?
Oh yeah. So I guess people always reference the Lazy Peon video, and the one they reference is the one that has like 2.9 million views.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah, it's like 30 minutes long. It's so
Mhm.
good. It's so in depth. It really
Yeah.
details what the game is. That video, so that's what got me introduced to Ashes. So I watch a lot of Asmongold on his stream on
Yeah.
Twitch, and back in 2020, when the Lazy Peon video came out, he watched it, and this was my first time ever hearing Ashes of Creation. I was like, what the heck is this? Because I remember hearing vaguely of Chronicles of Illyria, and I don't know if you remember that whole nightmare, but that's like a whole other story.
I wasn't too much into that, so I can't relate.
Yeah, no, yeah. And a lot of people were very deceived by Chronicles of Illyria, but basically,
Okay.
I thought that's what this was, and I was like, wait, no, this is not
Okay.
that game. But when I started hearing Lazy Peon talk about it and Asmongold's reaction,
Mhm.
I was like, this game cannot be real. Like, there's no
Yeah,
way this
right?
game is real. And then to top it all that off, right? You basically have Steven message him on Twitter, message Asmongold on Twitter, say, hey, I see you're watching the video. If you want, I can chat with you about the video after you're done. So not only did I get to see the Lazy Peon video, I also got to see Asmongold interview Steven right after. And then I was hooked. I was sold. Completely
And
sold.
this is the point where you can see how invested Intrepid Studios is with the community, how much they care about what people talk or think about their game and their content and
Right.
their development, and that's what I really respect there. As Steven sits at home, he probably has better things to do than to watch Asmongold. I really love Asmongold, but as Steven, I wouldn't watch him.
Right.
But he probably sits at home and watches that stream and thinks, dude, I should probably get in touch with him just because I care. And I love that. I really love that.
Yeah, no, it's the same thing, like, of how he reached out to a lot of other content creators. I mean, I saw all of the interviews Steven ever did, basically, with like Tim the Tatman, with Shroud, with Asmongold, with just and I just love how he's just so direct and he's so passionate, because again, he's a gamer first, and that's the big thing for me, is that I feel like a lot of developers in other corporate studios are developers first and not gamers. And so I think when you have that gamer mindset, it really kind of showed in this month's live stream with the character creator. Like,
Yeah.
dude, I mean, let's talk about that for a second. Holy God. I was like jaw dropped, awestruck of this character creator, because I did not think they would have it to this level of polish. So I don't.
That's what I thought as well. I was that was one of the few times I actually streamed on Twitch, and I was restreaming the dev stream, so I watched it together with a few people, and it was absolutely mind blowing, because
Right.
I have seen so many character creators I stopped counting, and when they showed off the blend segment
Oh
where
my
you
God,
could
yes.
change every zone of the body, I was like totally freaked out, because this is not a monster factory. It's just making your character the way you thinks he or she or whatever looks the best, in an okay way. And I have never seen a tool like this. I mean, yeah, BDO, clearly cool character creator, heard about that, never played it. But this really broke the mold for me. and I thought it was
Right.
a huge leap from last dev stream to this one, and was worth the delay, which I really respect that they took a delay and said we need some more time. Not, oh, we had some issues, everything's bad, or we will rush a stream now, although we need some more time. No, they said we'll take our time, we'll delay the stream. Sorry guys, but we have to do it because we want to show you something really awesome, and it was worth it.
Oh yeah. I just the features alone of like the hair lengthening, you can't find that in any MMO. There's no
No.
MMO that does that. And again, there's like a lot of little things that they're going to do that are just so intuitive, and like you think, oh, does it work this way? It does. Like as an example,
Yeah.
the tattoos, the fact that you can just click and drop it onto the body, holy crap. Like that's just like awesome to me. Like,
That's
I love
insane.
that.
I always wished for that.
Me
When you
too.
have to do this, you move them with an X and a Y bar, and you can scale them bigger or smaller. But when you can actually drag them to where you think they fit the most,
Right.
it's so more responsive.
Right. And just
Uh,
user friendly, because you just think that that's how it
yeah,
should works. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And so I think because there's also a lot of games where they do tattoos and they're all preset. Like there's some games
Mhm.
where you have that tattoo in that spot only. You can't move it anywhere else. And so
Yeah.
the fact that you have the laterality, like I had a lot of guild members joking that they wanted to put tattoos on their butt cheeks. But it's just the fact that you could do that,
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be awesome. And the fact that if you want to have like a tribal sleeve, like when you put the lion mane and just engrave
Yeah,
it,
that one was awesome.
I loved it. And just imagine having a dragon. Imagine having a dragon, like a
Oh my
dragon head,
God.
and then wrapping around your body. Like they can do so many really cool things. And this is just the beginning. Like they said, we have way more to do on this character creator. This is not even its final form. And I was like, okay. So
On that one, what I would do if I was Intrepid, if you're listening, listen closely.
they listen to my
You
1v1
could do,
podcast. Go ahead.
yeah, please do it. Please do. It's worth it. Um, what I would love to see was a fan art community contest, or not even contest, but just some incentive, where the community can send them design tattoos they want to have them to put in game. Because
Mm,
if you got that technology, if you got the code for it already, it's
right.
so easy. It's so easy to implement something like that. And imagine you're a community member and you're a fan, and you get that shout out on DevStream. Hey, this month we decided to put in the lily designed by red-haired gamer girl whatsoever.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. No, I think
I would
that's
love
a really good idea, to be honest, because like and I would put it in the forums. I really would, because the thing is that unlike a lot of other people, or I would say a lot of other corporations where feedback is kind of just tossed in the garbage bin, Intrepid doesn't do that. You know what I mean? So that idea, Oak, I would really, because I put with they posted their character creation on their forums, and there was like over 100 comments on it, but I was like a comment 107, I think. But yeah, I left my comment on there for like little, it was just not nitpicks, it was just stuff like moles, I think birthmarks, freckles, just stuff like that to the face, lipstick, makeup in general for females, like if they want a whole gallery of like eyeshadows and lipsticks and stuff like that, glitter on the face, I think all of that is very, very important, because unlike myself, I don't spend a lot of time in character creators. I spend maybe at most 20 seconds. I want to look, if I could. And here's the other thing that I really loved is that you're going to have saved profile templates that you can share with your friends.
That is so awesome and mind-blowing. It's like, hey, I designed this, I already got a character, but might fit yours. That's a whole community thing. There's so much potential in growing the relationships, or the connection between the gamers and gamer girls. That's what it's all about, and that's what Ashes' creation is about. And that's what I love so much about the game.
Right.
And about the feedback, I'm a bit shy putting my feedback into the forums, because as you can probably tell, I'm pretty new to Ashes of Creation. I only got 2 or 3 videos right now, and I'm not that deep into all the stuff and all the background knowledge whatsoever. But first of all, I'm not used to a company listening to what I say. That's why it's not usual for me to say, oh, I've got a great idea, let me put it up to the forums, maybe listen. No, I just think they don't
Yeah.
have time, they don't care whatsoever. But I have to get used to the fact that Intrepid listens to us, to all of us.
No, right. I mean, and again, it's like I said, if you don't want to put it on the forums, put it on Twitter. You know what I mean? Like I said, they respond to Twitter all the time. They respond to Facebook messages all the time. Like, it's just one of those things where they do. The community manager, Margaret Crone, she does such a great job of like
Yeah.
actually like making sure the community outreach is still present, and they've grown a lot. Like, and what I mean by they've grown, I mean Intrepid has grown, but also the community has grown. There's been so many people after the launch of Alpha 1. Like, you go to Discord, on the Ashes of Creation Discord, and you just go to questions, and you'll see when is Alpha 2 every day as a question. Like, people want to play this game. And did you play Alpha 1 at all?
No, I didn't. Today I upgraded my Voyager pack so I can play Alpha 2.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Today.
yes.
It hurt, but I did it.
Hey, I bought mine a long time ago, man, because honestly, I gave so much money to Blizzard for 15 years. I was like, I don't care. I was like, I am so invested in this company and for what they're trying to do and accomplish. And the fact that, Steven's always been very candid with, his information, like the fact that he said, oh yeah, I funded 40 million of my own money to make this project. What other person would do that? Unless someone that is super passionate to make an MMORPG. Because I know if I was a multimillionaire, I'd be doing the exact same thing Steven's doing. He just had the leverage and he had the friends in San Diego to be like, I have a lot of, software and, computer devs that I'm friends with, that I play D&D with. I was like, why don't we make a game, guys? And that's literally what happened. And he just went from there.
And despite that, he listens to the community. Imagine if it was some other person just funneling money into the game. I could imagine that person saying, dude, it's my money, so
Right.
I'll just make the game how I want it. I don't care about you.
Right.
And we'll probably brag about it, but he doesn't do that, and he listens to us, and that's what I love especially.
Yeah, no, and again, like I still think that he has a vision that he wants for the game. And I really admire that, because what happens to a lot of people I think what happened to a lot of people in his position is that he would change his vision to basically please the overall casual player base. And I feel like he's still been very stringent. Like, he's like, no, I'm going to make this game like this way, but I'm going to bend in certain areas. Because I always feel like there has to be give and take. You know what I mean? And there's like a couple of things like that I don't like about Ashes of Creation. Like, for one, XP debt. I don't think XP debt should be in the game at all. I think it's an archaic decision. I think a lot of the games that did it in the past only did it because, they were still, testing stuff in its infancy. When World of Warcraft came out, there was no XP debt when you died. It just, you had the punishment was you had to run back to your body as a ghost. That was the punishment. And then there was some durability loss. But in Ashes, there's like 7 things that happen to you when you die, including XP debt. There's a lot of bad things that happen. So I think you can remove XP debt and death will still very much matter.
Yeah, I can imagine that we when the game finally releases, that we will see very quickly a lot of players drop out again, because it's a harsh environment. If you have your XP dead and it's open PvP, there are a lot of people that probably get frustrated within the first 10 hours of playing. But if you have people that keep playing it, and there will be people that keep playing it, that probably you have a consistent community. So that's probably much more worth.
No, for sure. So let's get into some of the features of Ashes of Creation. So what to you, which feature the most stands out to you personally?
Aside from animal husbandry?
Yeah, besides animal husbandry.
Probably the caravan system. Of course, node system, yada yada, it's great. But I love the economic background from the caravan system. That you have this high risk, high reward thing going on. Dude, I can send my caravan over and make a bunch of money, but I might take some risk there. And I personally love gaming because I also avoid gambling.
Yeah.
Not, not in a problematic way, but I
Right.
like gambling factors in games where I don't have to spend actual money, and this is 100% gambling. I take the risk. I want to make a lot of gold, but I'm gambling here, but because there can be a lot of trolls sitting under the bridge just waiting for my caravan. I really love that.
Oh yeah, I made a whole video on the caravan system, and that's my personal favorite outside of the node system.
Okay.
My personal favorite, because there's just a lot of community that comes from that one feature because of how interconnected it is with economy and professions in general. Like, because I'm like you, I'm kind of not like you because I've never really been in professions because World of Warcraft has crap professions. The professions of World of Warcraft are completely uninspired, dull, and lifeless. And in Ashes, they're going to be very in depth. I mean, just looking at the animal husbandry system. Holy crap, dude! You're gonna make mounts for people, custom mounts that only you can probably make, and you're gonna have specialized recipes that, let's say you're on a server of 12,000 people, and you're of like 6 people or 4 people that can make this certain mount. That is a very cool feeling to have.
That's what I was talking about life skills. I would breed the crap out of those animals just to be that one person. I really love that. Well, compared to WoW, my problem was there was no actual purpose to the professions.
Right.
And as it might, whoa, that's deep. As it might be in life, as a gamer as well, I'm always seeking for purpose in what I do. And if I have professions that are deeply knitted into the game and are relevant, this is my actual purpose in my profession, and that's why I keep on grinding and why I love doing that.
Oh yeah, the professions in general, like, because I'm so curious to see just how in depth some of these other professions are. You know, I want to know what blacksmithing is like, leatherworking. I want to know what the making ships, the shipbuilding professions like. I mean, there's guilds that I've seen that are to solely be shipbuilding guilds. Their whole idea of the guild is to be known as the shipbuilding guild in that server.
Oh my god, this is amazing.
They're basically, as a community, gonna do, like, they're gonna be lumberjacks in that guild so they can chop down the wood so they can make boats, and just funnel so they can just basically shoot that shipbuilding profession to the moon. So that way they can be the first on the server to basically build the ships for everybody. And then they're going to have the market if they can do that. And again, it's like one of those things that it's so cool that there's just so many guilds that are created for completely different purposes. Like, there's Robin Hood guilds that I've seen on the Ashes Discord where they're literally going to hold caravans. Check this out. They're going to hold caravans and say, hey, do you need our protection? And then you're like, oh no, I'm good. And they're like, oh no, you need our protection, otherwise you're not gonna be able to pass.
No.
And we're gonna take your stuff. And you're like, okay, maybe you can have like 5%, make that 25, and you have a deal. Like, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay. Pimp guilds.
Basically,
okay.
Like, if you don't take our protection, we will destroy your caravan. Like, and we'll and then they'll take those pieces and then distribute amongst the guild and to other people or whatever they want to do. But basically, like, that's what I'm saying. There's so much community that are built into every single aspect of these systems. And I just love that, because there's no other game that I can think of that builds guilds outside of raiding. Like, I don't. Like, what else would you build a guild for in WoW, like, other than raiding? Like, you build it for raiding. Like, because why? Because most people now are just guildless, because they're like, hey, just hit me up on Discord, just message me on Discord and I'll hop into the raid, or I'll do this. Like, there's no incentive to be in a guild in a game. But in Ashes, there's going to be a whole guild talent tree, and there's going to be guild buffs that you're going to be able to allot to your people. There's tons of things of why you want to be in a community.
I have this one wish for Ashes, and I think that's pretty realistic. I think if just like in our world, in the work life, if you give people things to do, as in specialize in a very niche segment of the game, as in building ships, you can probably keep the toxicity at a minimum. because
Right.
if people got things to do, they don't have the time to talk crap.
That's so true.
So,
Because again, I look at back in the day, and sorry to interrupt you, but in
no
classic
problem.
WoW, it was exactly what you said. It was a better, healthier environment because people had stuff to do.
Yeah. And if people get bored, well, it starts all over again and every game ends the same way. You can see it in Lost Ark. We reach basically the actual content ceiling right now at the moment with Argos. And people get bored, so they're starting to troll other people or trash talking other people. And what I see in Ashes of Creation is a lot of content which you probably cannot play in a single month, or hopefully not, which could be really healthy for the game. I'm looking forward to that.
And that's what I'm saying. So, and I went over this in one of my other videos, which is the single player MMOs video. Do you feel like the overall MMO player base has been conditioned to do things so fast that whenever they feel like it's too slow for them, that it's like, oh, this is terrible. It's terrible.
100%. I think there's an extreme end, or there are two extreme ends. There are the ones which are conditioned to push as fast as they can to
Right.
get to the new content, just to brag about it, or
Right.
maybe it's their kind of experience they're looking for.
Right.
Or the other extreme, which says, well, I'm taking it slowly, I'm taking it the way I want to do it, but they can't do the possible content. Again, Lost Ark here. If you take things slow, you won't get gear to get to the next level or to get to the next island. If it's fun for you to explore the islands, and I kind of lost track of what I was saying.
Well, you were
Well,
you're basically going over why people go so fast.
yeah, thank you. And that's the point. So there are people that are going really fast just to get that experience and have fun, which leads to a development team which has to release new content, and that dries games out.
Correct.
That dries games out real quick. We can see it in other games, not only Lost Ark. There were a lot of other games. Swords of Legends Online, for example, I played that a lot, and that was a already existing Korean game published by a German studio for the Western region. And they felt like they had to push. I actually know the devs in person. That's why they told me they had to push the content and to deliver faster and faster. And then they ended up with having no more content.
Right.
Because players were conditioned to achieve and go to fast track and not enjoy the game.
Right. And especially with YouTube now, like I think of back in the day in like 2010, 2011, when YouTube was still at its infancy. I mean, it came out in 2005, right? But not everybody had the capability to screen record and, be all sophisticated as we are now. So a lot of guides and the min-maxing of like certain things and certain gameplays has just gotten so sophisticated in 2022. It's going to be even more sophisticated in a couple of years when Ashes comes out. So the one thing that I hope Steven does is elongates the times for leveling, which he said he's going to do. He says if you're playing 68 hours every day, it's going to take you 45 days, which is a month and a half to level. That's a lot of time compared
Is a lot.
Compared to 8 to 12 hours, where that is usually the time it takes for you to level in any MMO right now from level 1 to max level. So I really hope he sticks with that. I really do, because again, there's so much stuff that's going to be happening all around you, and because the game is literally ever changing with the node system, and there's going to be 103 nodes in the world of Vera. That's a lot of freaking nodes. So I mean, there's going to be so much change happening, and so if we can have, like I said, a very interconnected and dependent economy, awesome in-depth professions, a long leveling time, but has great content for the leveling purpose, and also every other horizontal bit of content that you do provides XP, because if you can do a multitude of different things and you're earning XP doing everything, that's really good. It's whenever they railroad you into saying, no, you can only do the story to get XP, or you can only do these things to get XP. And I don't think Ashes is going to do that. But of course, it all has to be tested in Alpha 2. And I just think if any studio can try to nail that, it's going to be them. Because I feel I am right there with you. The reason why content becomes so stale is because usually the top end players will finish it within a week.
Yeah, probably.
And so it's like invalidated after that. And then you get bored and then you just don't want to log in. You don't want to do anything. Like what item level are you in Lost Ark?
Which server region?
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Wow. So how many characters do you have on both regions?
I started out on EU Central, quit there for EU West because of the German community, and there I have 4 characters, but only 1 in tier 3 on West.
Wow,
with
so you're
1370
1370
on EU West only, and EU Central I might hit 1350 tonight with 1 out of 3 characters.
Oh my.
But that's the whole point. If you make content about the game, you learn a lot about efficiency. And
Right.
what you said about min maxing, that's something I try to avoid as a content creator.
Right.
I try to avoid publishing videos. Hey, here's your way to min max the game and get bored by it in 2 weeks. I usually do content as you can do it this way. There are also other ways. Look up those videos from other content creators for the min-max way. But this is my way with which I had the most fun. So that's why I'm showing it to you.
Right.
So that's basically how I decide which video I will make.
Right. And it's kind of funny because I've been reaching out to Saiwo. I don't know if you know who he is, but he's a Lost Ark content creator.
Lost Ark Saiwo.
Yeah. And so me and him have been in talks because I asked him if he wants to be on the 1v1.
Yeah.
And we're still trying to work that out. But I love his content for Lost Ark. I think he's a very genuine dude. He gives a lot of great advice for his content. And I think we just need more content creators like that in general for any MMOs. But I think what I love about Ashes of Creation is, again, it just goes back to that group play. And we've just been missing that so badly in today's MMOs. And I know we've rehashed that, so I'm going to change the subject on the group play. But I do want to ask you, like, in what classes do you normally play in MMOs? Do you play melee, ranged, healer, tank?
It depends. It depends on how confident I feel when I start playing the game. In World of Warcraft, back in let me think, 2008, maybe 9. I can't remember. 2009. I just graduated. I played Hunter. Because of the range. I could avoid enemies and could attack them from range. But since then, I always played melee classes. In Lost Ark, I played Paladin and a Gun Lancer for my main characters.
Oh, nice.
But in Ashes of Creation,
64 classes.
That's a hell of a lot of choose, and I might be looking forward to something like a cleric class. I don't know, or maybe a monk. There's so much potential. I want to play them all because I think specifically in classes, when you have that many, there are so many different ways to play the game. I experienced that in other games. Other class does not always mean more or less OP. No, it means you can play the game in a whole different style. Look at Path of Exile, for example. What changes when you take a melee or a ranged character? Those are whole different worlds. So I don't know what probably a mage class, something like that, or cleric.
Right. Like I want to say paladin, but in Ashes of Creation, a paladin is going to be a tank. But in World of Warcraft, I love the paladin. I love the aesthetic. I love the abilities. I love the whole lore behind the paladins. Yeah. But there is going to be the Templar, which is the cleric fighter, or the fighter cleric. Yeah. I can't remember which one it was. But so the Templar is really something I'm interested in because that's basically a paladin in a nutshell. So...
But I think playing paladin is more of a life choice. So people playing paladins are very special people, in my opinion. Not bad people, they're good people. But but I always played support in every other game, which is not an MMORPG. As in
Right.
MOBAs, I always played support because I cared about my team.
Right.
But now's the time for me to do some damage, you know?
Dude, yes, I totally agree with you. But I love the fact that they're actually going to incorporate support. And I don't know, they said that they're going to
Yeah.
do that with the summoner and also with the bard class. And I am very much looking forward to what the summoner is going to look like because, man, that necromancer,
Yeah.
it's
Oof.
so good, dude. I played a demonology warlock in WoW, and God, if I could have that in
Oh.
Ashes and just summon skeletons and zombies and stuff,
Oh.
I don't know. I might
And-
play that, to be honest.
Yeah, I need dragons to be fully satisfied. So if there were like skeleton dragons, I would be totally
Ooh.
down.
Dude, yeah. And honestly, with the animal husbandry, oh man, I think of like the different
Oh.
kinds of like not dragons, but like almost like hybrids, like a dragon
Yeah.
head with like a lion body and like chimera wings, and just going really outlandish because it's like the way they talk about the customization. I'm wondering how far is it gonna go?
And when you look at the mount, the Whispering Watcher,
Oh my God,
this
yes.
this is the
So
most beautiful
good.
mount I've ever. I actually tweeted that to Margaret. In the
Yeah.
moment I saw it, I tweeted out to her that this is the most beautiful mount I have ever seen. I'm not
Yes.
that into Egyptian mythology or something like that, but
Right.
the whole creation, all the different animals and sorts of mounts you can see in that, just showed me how much potential there is, even in animal husbandry, for example. And
Right.
they had this comparison from two horses, one totally normal and one of freaked out colors. And I would love to see something like if you are a breeder for animals, I would like to see some signature breeding thing that only you can do. How cool would that be? For example, all the horses made by Vlhadus have a pink back. Just picking something.
Oh,
That would
you
be
mean like
so
like
great.
a breeder signature on
Yeah,
every,
like an imprint,
like an emblem.
Yeah, that would be
Oh,
so cool.
dude, that would be. Dude, I'm gonna write these down, man. Because if you're not gonna post these on the forums, I am gonna do that for you. Like, look, this is
Yeah,
not my
dude, go ahead.
ideas. These are Oak's ideas. I'm just putting them on here because that is a great idea. Because if you get like some sort of the same horse, right, and they look identical,
Yeah.
but I was like, oh, who's that emblem? Oh, it was made by so and so. Oh, mine was
Yeah,
made by so and so. That is a brilliant
that would be
idea, dude. I
that would
love
be
that.
so mind blowing.
Yeah. So,
Well, they still got some time to implement that, right?
oh yeah, no, they do. They definitely do. But I guess when it comes to professions, I just want to ask you this real quick. What professions do you find really cool? Because I know we talked about animal husbandry, and I know that's the main thing that we keep hearing about is the animal husbandry. But like out of the other 18 professions, like what profession do you feel like interests you the most?
Well, for the sake of warfare, probably a smithing or blacksmithing.
Right.
But I think looking back at the history of Stephen and Archage, probably enchanting will be pretty deep.
Really?
I like I like taking the risk of smashing your whole materials just by failing, as in honing or something like that. I like to take the risk in enchanting.
No,
And
don't bring honing.
I want to mess. I want to. I don't want honing in ashes.
No, I
but
know.
I want to have the chance that I grinded the 2 weeks worth of time I put in it. I want to take all those materials, try to enchant them, and then they break. Not because I like the pain, but
Right.
because that brings me back on level, back on foot, and sets me back in my place to show me you are not as overpowered as you think, and there's still potential in A, having more luck, which you obviously can't influence, and B, maybe crafting out that profession. So enchanting it is.
Wow, yeah. And it's so weird because I haven't really looked at enchanting when it comes to Archage. And I'm very intrigued with this whole like, so is it just like a +6 stat, let's say, to strength? You can do that again and again, and each time you do it, there's a greater chance of failure? Is that basically how it works in a nutshell?
Well, I can't tell from Arcade. I only picked up scraps there, but
Oh, okay.
in other games, I've seen that you've got the materials for, let's say, a one-time plus 10 strength enchantment,
Right.
and you try to put it on the item,
Right.
like literally, and it might not work, which not only lets you lose the materials, but also breaks that big ass sword you just
Oh
got
my
there from another player. Hey, here's my sword enchanted. Yeah, but I can't guarantee. So I would love to see that,
That is
because
nuts.
that would bring actual value to enchanting. Yeah, it would also
Right.
bring a lot of frustration, but actual value.
No, that's very true. And I think especially with streamers and Gamba streams, like I've been watching a lot of the
Yeah.
people doing the what is the thing on Lost Ark where you do the gems, not the gems, but the
Yeah, the breaking from
faceting.
stone.
Yeah, the
crackling.
faceting thing or
Yeah,
whatever.
faceting. That's the word. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. It's just I see those streams and they're just so funny to watch because it's like, oh,
Yeah.
it's bricked, you're done, it's over,
Yeah.
you know. And it's just like I would love that for enchanting if that was a thing. It's like because it would be
Yeah.
so like if you have an epic sword that you got from a dragon and you're like, this
Yeah.
sword's badass. I don't even want to enchant it. I don't even want to risk if this thing, because dude, could you imagine if like you basically got this sword and it took your guild a month down this stupid boss, and then you get the sword and it freaking blows up in your face and just does not make the enchant and just destroys it.
And imagine
Oh
it wasn't
my
your sword, but from a guildmate, and you have to tell him,
Oh, dude, no.
hey, how's my sword going? I just gave it to you yesterday with 25,000 gold. Oh yeah, about that.
About that, dude. I have it on stream, so you know I didn't break it on purpose. But yeah, I really agree with you on that, because I think especially in today's age, right, where it's just a 100% safeguard, like, oh, you put this enchant on there, it works 100% of the time, there's no backfire, it's boring. And then enchanting after that, the market gets saturated with all these enchants, and then it's just you basically the enchanting profession in a sense is like not worth it, because everyone else already has the enchants. It's not competitive or whatever. And I feel like as long as you can make it to where there's an advantage one person can have over the other, and it's not just I have more points in it for you. Like I would love, and this is something again just like pie in the sky, if like a profession had a talent tree of like, would you rather want to like for enchanting, right? Like if there was an actual talent tree where it's like, do you want to go into more luck, right? So that your luck is better than other people's, or do you want to go into more durability or more stats? Like that would be really cool, because that would provide more customization per enchanter, because then you're like, dude, you really need to go see this dude, because if you want luck, that guy has more luck.
Like a tattoo artist, it's basically the same. So go to this guy. Well, the tattoos are crap, but he's pretty cheap, or something like that.
Exactly.
But I think there's one big problem with that. If you bring a system like that to a game, you also bring a lot of frustration with it. You can see it in other games. There are a lot of people. I mean, clearly the MMO genre has an audience or a player base that is probably more aged than others, I guess.
Right.
Well, we're about in the 25s to 35s or something like that, probably. We can handle frustration, most of us. But when I think of a younger audience, that could be problematic, where they just maybe cannot handle the frustration when said item breaks, and that could drive a lot of players away. But if there is one game which is in a position to try it out and to say, yo, we're keeping it real with the OG MMORPGs, but we're doing it anew, then this might be Ashes of Creation.
No, I agree with you, and I feel like those kids need to toughen up. I feel, because I mean, again, maybe that's just my 35-year-old, old man brain thinking, but all they've been playing is very patty cake MMOs. Like no one that's 18 or 20 is playing Arcade or playing Lineage or playing whatever. They're playing Final Fantasy 14. They're playing World of Warcraft. They're playing Guild Wars 2. They're playing very safe, very guarded MMOs. And so all I'm saying is that Ashes should be the one to be that if you want a hardcore experience, like, then this is the game that should be that. And again, I don't think adding a talent system is going to be that hardcore. I just think providing a level of customization to make a enchanter different, right? Because the one thing I did not like about Final Fantasy 14 is that whenever you're a Dark Knight, you are the same Dark Knight like everyone else. There is no difference. There's no correlation from you to compare to anyone else. And that's just boring. You know, you're just a template of everything else. It just comes down to how skilled you are at rotation and your cooldowns and everything like that. But I think when it comes to professions, I think it's very healthy for them to add a more in-depth specialization for their professions, because I don't know, I just think of the possibilities and just the kind of connections you would want, because like I said, like if you want to go with more luck, oh, I need to talk to this person. Oh, I need more stats. It's going to be less luck. Oh, if I want to be more gambly, I'll go talk to Doug or whoever, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's really cool. And again, it provides a deeper level of community, because you're not just going to want one enchanting guy, you're going to want 5. You know what I mean?
Plus I think they should cap out every other patch the possibilities you get in your professions or the depth, because if you have those specialized players that are very good at enchanting with the skill tree, and they play from day one, let's say we're 3 or 4 or 5 months in the game, no new player ever has a chance to reach only a similar level. So they should cap it out. And every time they release new content, maybe release a bit more of the professions contents as well.
No, for sure. I think it should be kind of capped out to a certain way, because I think honestly, and this is just my brain thinking this, I think as with all of the features that Ashes wants to launch with, I could safely assume that they could go without content for 8 months and people wouldn't care, because I believe there's probably more than enough time and more than enough content that 8 months you'll be like, wow, this is a little too quick, Intrepid, like you need to give us more time. Because again, every server is going to be completely different, and depending on how the content is released or what the content actually is, it may be too soon for a server. So I think, no, you are right though. I mean, it does need to be very much looked at, but again, if any company can put that watchful eye out, it's them. So
yeah, probably.
So to wrap up, you know, our conversation, I can't believe we've already been talking for over an hour. It's kind of these conversations always feel like 15 minutes to me, but yeah. But to kind of wrap up everything, I always ask this question. So why do you personally believe in Ash as a creation?
Because I think that the dev team behind it is key. It comes from a past of gaming. They've got experience and they are gamers, which is very much needed when you develop a game for a community. You need to be part of the community, or at least share their experiences. That's why I think this game might be a great success, but there are also a lot of risk, as in frustration or something like that coming with it. Has a lot of potential for me, and I'm really looking forward to play it.
I could not be in more agreement with you, because like I said, they do have a lot of things that I feel like need to be tested to hell and back in Alpha 2. There's a lot of things that, again, that I'm very nervous about, that I think we need to go back on. There's a lot of things I still think they need to keep, but again, like, it all comes down to testing. It all comes down to how it feels in the environment, because there's a lot of things that can work on paper, but then in practicality it just doesn't work. It doesn't feel good. So, but dude, thank you so much, man, for having this conversation. I had a blast chatting with you.
Thank you.
Really great. So I always tell people this: where can people find you? Like, with social media, YouTube, Twitter, where?
Yeah, Twitter. They can find me on Twitter, and I'm called Oak on YouTube on Twitter, and you can find me as well on YouTube. Pretty small channel. Trying to do my best to grow it bigger.
It's all right. And like I said, this is the reason why I love doing these, is because I started exactly where you were. I did my first 1v1 when I had 13 or 17 subscribers. It was like super early on. And again, like, I walked in and I talked to content creators and I was like, hey man, like, I wanted this 1v1 idea. and I have this thing of what I want to do is like, you might be my Fane was my first one. And he's like, dude, I'd love to have a conversation with you. I'd love to do that. And so we did. And I learned the whole audio thing of like trying to get my audio. My earlier ones were horrible. I apologize for that, but I was learning as I went, you know what I mean? Because this is all a journey, you know what I mean? And so I finally learned how to do my audio correctly. But you know, what I love about this community in Ashes is that we're all here to help each other grow. And so I don't care how many subscribers you have. To me, it's all the degree of the person you are. If you're a good person, I want to have you on. If you're an Ashes person, I want to have you on. So, but I like I said, I had a great time chatting with you. I think you have great ideas, and I'm going to write those down. And I'm also going to put your socials, of course, in the bottom. I'll put your YouTube channel down at the bottom so people can go and subscribe to his content. Go and support this dude. We all struggle at the beginning to get noticed, especially the base of the YouTube algorithm, God forbid. But again, thank you guys so much for watching this podcast. Again, I'm your host, Vlhadus. This is 1v1 Podcast, and I will see you guys on the next one.